Learn how to take your chandelier findings to a new level by creating chevron shapes with just simple lengths of beads and chain. Hi there, Sandy here. Thank you so much for your purchase of this video class. Today I have for you a pair of earrings that I just love variations of, where you have beads that come together in a chevron of colors. So you have a V shape. And there's a lot of different ways to achieve this. One is that if you have a chandelier finding where your holes for your dangles are in a strong V angle, then you don't have to change much at all. But you can get this look even if your holes for your dangles are straight across. That works too. You just have to take a couple extra steps. I actually considered several different chandelier findings in doing these earrings. I looked at these. I thought they were maybe a little bit much, and it kind of took away from the beads. I'm using these 3 beads, the 3mm check fire polish beads. I liked how the black and the red and the medium purple don't have a lot of contrast with each other. But then when we have the silver at the bottom and above them, it kind of pops that V. I just thought it was interesting. But you can play with colors. This would be a fun place to have an ombre effect of beads. In addition to the beads that you're going to put in your dangles, you'll need some chain, and you'll want to carefully audition that with your findings to make sure it goes, that the color goes, that the scale is right. And if you're using a small chain, you may need some jump rings to attach it to your loops of your chandelier finding, which is what I needed to do here. Probably the thing I spent the most time on was arranging and rearranging the colors. And I finally settled on these little silver-plated ball head pins. And I just put a black bead on the bottom, just for maximum contrast. And then one of these red ones. And these purples, which I mentioned I'm going to be sad when I run out of these beads. I think I need to order some more while I can. And then for some contrast, one of these little silver-plated pumpkin beads. These are 4mm beads. And on top of that, a little crystal, a little 3mm crystal. Interestingly, it wasn't until I started looking at this assortment of crystals, which I had in this little container, when I started looking at them under my magnifying light, I realized that they're not all the same. Some of these are bicones and some are roundels, and yet they're so small that I couldn't tell, so I decided not to let that stop me. Because I'm using real short head pins here, they're only 1 inch long, I don't even need to trim this. I ended up with just 3/8 of an inch at the end, so use round nose pliers to make a loop. And then I made it, notice, overlapping a little here, because when I bend it back, that's going to open it up some. And so by doing it that way, that should be nice and closed. And you'll want to repeat that to make one of these for all of the loops that you have for both earrings, of course. The next thing you'll need to decide is how long to make your chain. And since we're working with such small amounts, and such fine chain, one link can make a difference. What I like to use is just an awl or a needle tool to help spread it out and just look at it visually and decide how long I want that to be. And you can see I already made that decision over here on this one. And depending on how stair-stepped your loops on your chandelier finding are, you may need to change the length of your chain on each of these dangles to get the chevron effect that you want. So what I settled on was 5 links. And when it's this small, you really just have to count links. But 5 links of chain, and you can see why I wanted to lay this out, because I'm looking at where the beads are in relation to each other. Like I said, I want to get that nice chevron effect. And if you look at these two, they are pretty close in height. They're just off by a little bit. So what I ended up doing was I made these 3 center ones 5 links, and then the outer ones are only 4 links. So that, again, we get that kind of stair-step effect. And let me show you
how I figured out to cut the chain and make it as easy as possible on yourself. So I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4 links. I have my outer ones left to do. I'm going to find the split, and I'm actually going to flip that to my non-dominant side. Hold on to that 4th link with a pair of pliers. There we go. So that the split is facing up at 12 o'clock. And grab the other side of that link with another pair of pliers. Twist it open, and now because we have this over here, you should be able to pop that right off. I might need to open that link a little more. And then don't set this down, just keep it in your hand. Take your loop of your beaded dangle and pop it right on there. So we didn't have to set that down at all. It just makes it much easier, especially when we're working with these little tiny, tiny links. And my pliers got a little magnetized, so that's making life a little difficult, but make sure those are closed nice and tight. And now you can see when I put that on there with only the 4 links that I get my nice stair-step look. And I would repeat that for this one. In this case, because these links are so small, they wouldn't fit through these. So you could see over here I used some 4mm jump rings to attach them to my findings, an ear wire. And you have a great pair of earrings that you can customize in so many ways. The length of chain, the length of the beads. You could have shorter chain and longer beads. I do love the chain here because it really makes it dangle no matter how long the length of beads you have. Even if you only had a couple links here, you would get a lot more dangle with a long head pin full of beads. Great to customize in any colors and style you like. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy creating.